So yeah, this is going to be game 1. Eason with his Freeze Mage against Johnson with his Dragon Warrior. So I feel like the Dragon Warrior does have a chance against a Freeze Mage, but there are times where the Freeze Mage could actually take this.
Yeah, it depends how much early aggression you can muster. Dragon Warrior doesn't really have the sort of backup plan that a lot of warriors do against Freeze Mage, where you just armor up, because they just don't have any extra effects that give them armor.
Right.
Like even the old Tempo Warrior would run Armor Smith a lot of times. So they could, if they wanted to, save up and make for a big Armor Smith like Ravaging Ghoul play. But nowadays, Dragon Warriors just don't. So they have to pressure. Fairy Dragon's really good at doing that though, because Freeze Mage just doesn't, Freeze Mage just doesn't have a way to deal with Fairy Dragon.
Right, and Dragon Warrior can't really like armor up every turn. They're more like playing on curve.
They can armor up every turn.
Yeah, they can.
Just not very good. And I don't know.
The Finley, do you really want to lose your armor?
I think so, because you, like you said, you don't really want to armor up every turn, and armor up is just really bad. If you're not getting a lot of armor, then getting any armor is usually worse than developing a minion or drawing a card if you get life tap, or dealing 2 damage if you get steady shot, or even dealing 1 damage if you get fire blast can be better. So,
right. I feel like the mage hero power does well with the Dragon Warrior, especially because you can like ping your Grom. But then there's Icar for that too, and it's also just good for just execute.
Yep. It's also good for just making good trades. Not so much in this matchup.
Right.
Doesn't play the Finley on turn 1.
Wow, interesting.
Don't know if that's good.
Yeah, you need to start the damage already.
He really wants to armor up. I feel like pressure is the way you win this matchup. I don't feel like armor up's the way you win this matchup.
I feel like Eason is just going to pass this turn too. I mean, there's no threats on the board right now. Save the coin.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to make Johnson think he has Doomsayer.
Oh, that's right. That's a good strategy.
Because one of the only ways that they can deal with Fairy Dragon early on is by just preemptively delaying it for a turn or two by playing Doomsayer, and then just ignoring it for the rest of the game, or hoping you draw Blizzard in time. So he's going to feign, and I don't know. I don't think Johnson should read too much into that.
Sometimes people do, though. It's like little mind games here and there.
All right, if he armors up, I'm just quitting Hearthstone right now.
No, he's not going to do that. We're going to see the Fairy Dragon. And may just have a hard time dealing with this. He's going to just take the 3 damage and like deal with it later. Oh, yeah, the loot order.
That is the only way. And if he didn't have Ravaging Ghoul and would have had Ping as an option from Sir Finley, then
that's right.
he would be punished, but he won't be. Loot Hoarder is one of the only ways you can really challenge the Fairy Dragon.
I agree, yeah.
That and Blizzard.
So we're just going to see the Ravaging Ghoul here, most likely. Or, I mean, he could play the Monkey. That's another choice.
Could play the Monkey. Could also just Finley and try and get a 1 damage hero power. I mean, there's 3 of them.
That's
but
true.
Some of them aren't. Like, Shapeshift isn't as good. And Dagger Up isn't that good, because later in the game, a lot of times you have an opportunity to use the hero power again. And I feel like Steady Shot would be better. So Ravaging Ghoul just seems like the best.
Clear the board, drop a minion.
Depends how afraid he is. The only real executes targets you have in this deck are Doomsayers, Emperor Thorsan, and Alexstrasza. So maybe he wants a activator for the execute, but none of those things will come down like this early in the game.
Right.
And I feel like Ravaging Ghoul allows you to apply the most pressure, because you don't have to worry about like Fierce Monkey forcibly getting traded into. Like, you could protect your minions later on in the game by playing Fierce Monkey later in the game.
Right. I mean, if he dropped the Finley on turn 1, then he would have had possibly the hero power. But yeah, the goal seems really great there.
When is he going to use Finley this game? Who knows? Maybe never. How many times has he armored up this game? 0. How much damage has he missed by not playing Finley on turn 1? 3.
He actually doesn't have the Dragon Synergy. Oh. So, well, he could just play the Korkron.
Korkon's pretty good. Applies
Yeah.
pressure.
Definitely.
Maybe this could be a turn where he plays Fierce Monkey and Finley.
That's also a possibility. Well, the Korkon is just really good pressure, though. And we can see that Eason doesn't have the Frost Nova to tie out with his Doomsayer.
Mm-hmm.
Cone of Cold. Do you normally see that in Freeze Mage?
Mm-mm. Freeze Mage lists are usually pretty tight nowadays, and even Flame Strike is sort of a fringe card in Freeze Mage nowadays. Laughing is sort of the go-to Freeze Mage connoisseur, and if he's not running a Flame Strike, nobody's running a Flame Strike. Whatever he's doing is like is the gospel. You sort of have to follow it.
Yeah, he is the Freeze Mage god. I mean, he runs. I saw him playing around with Reno one time, and then he likes the mirror images.
Yep. One mirror image is pretty good. A lot of times, one mirror image can block 10 damage. I mean, mirror image can sometimes be just as good as Ice Barrier. And Reno is good in control metas because you're going to get to the late game anyway, where you're going to expend all your cards. And Frozen is also a player that, when he does play Freeze Mage, really likes to play Reno. Likes to play Reno and Malagos, which is super interesting.
Some people in their ways, I guess.
Yeah, who
Just
knows?
comfortable with certain decks.
Yeah.
So we might see the Finley here.
I don't know. I feel like if he hasn't played it yet, he just doesn't want to play it. He just wants to keep that armor up. But again, how many times has he armored up this game? And now how much damage has he missed by not playing Finley on turn 1?
Right.
It's not even about the hero power in that case. It's about, well, he had a chance to get 4 extra damage in right now. Like, he had a chance to basically turn that Finley into a Korkan Elite and give up his armor up. Potentially more if it could attack in here.
It's probably just the pressure, right? We're being like on stream.
But I mean, maybe he thinks it's just better to hold on to it and keep armor up.
That's true.
It's really hard to say. Fairy Dragon's a great card, but I feel like this Finley could be getting in a lot more damage. And if he plays it now, then I mean, his not playing it on turn 1 was like a flat out mistake.
Goes for the steady shot, which is it's gonna just smork it down.
I think it's the best one.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to apply consistent pressure to Freeze Mages in order to take them down.
If Eason Cones of Cold here, he could take out the Fairy Dragon.
Finally.
Finally, right? Or he could coin the Blizzard. That's an option. Or just Arcane Intellect here.
Kind of like the Coin of Cold. I think the coin is really important, especially on a turn where you don't actually have to Blizzard.
Right. And Blizzard, it makes the next turn for Blizzard even better.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Makes next turn for Blizzard better. You don't have to really do anything this turn, and that coin might be useful for later on when there is a play that you have to make to survive. So this question here is whether or not he coins out Loot Hoarder, but again, you don't have to coin out Loot Hoarder.
Coin out Loot Hoarder, coin out Ping.
Yeah. I guess it can test something on the board a little bit, but well, Grom is. I mean, Bloodacre is pretty good because it activates Grom.
Yeah, I think for this turn though, for Johnson, I think it's just gonna be the Guardian and Hero Power. You don't get the buff, the 3/6, but you need to play something.
Sometimes the 2/6 just gets it done. Don't really need taunts against Freeze Mage, so forgo the hero power.
Right. And just have to put, like, as a Dragon Warrior, you just have to put down whatever you have in your hand.
And he's a hero power every turn.
Yeah, get that damage in. What do you think about new cards for the Dragon Warrior, like the Curator? And
Curator's really good.
right.
It's not only good because of the fact that it has taunt. It's good because, one, Dragon Warriors don't really have 7-drops that they like to play. A lot of times on 7, they either play a 6-drop. Yeah, it sort of replaced Malkorok. Malkorok was very inconsistent. And the body wasn't very good for what Dragon Warrior wanted to do at that stage of the game. And that was sort of like reload and solidify their place on the board. Curator also gets some of the bad minions out of your deck. So if you haven't drawn on the family yet, it gets that out. It draws the Fierce Monkeys out and a Dragon out, which gets you closer to your big drops. And it makes it more likely that you have an 8-drop to follow up on turn 8 after the Curator. So Curator sort of fit Dragon Warrior perfectly. And I'm surprised people didn't realize it sooner, because it took about like 2 weeks before people were like, wow.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm going to try this. It looks great. You got like beasts, you got a Murloc, you got dragons. Seems to fit.
Yeah, I tried to make a weird combo deck with Arcane Giants.
With dragon?
With dragon, yeah. You get the Curator, you get Alexstrasza, Jeweled Scarab, and Cold Light Oracle.
There's your beast, the Scarab.
Yeah, because it's just 100% combo potential. If you haven't drawn your charge yet, Jeweled Scarab allows you to have an additional chance to pick up charge. So you play Arcane Giants and a bunch of removal spells, and if you haven't drawn your other combo pieces, you use the Cold Light Oracle to get there. So Curator just like gets you close to everything, and also guarantees you get Alexstrasza. So you have 2 chances to draw Alexstrasza. You either draw Alexstrasza or the Curator, and so your combo becomes really consistent. So as long as you have enough removal to get through the early game, you always win. But that's the tough part. That's where they get you. Getting through that early game is actually a lot tougher than it seems with a Jeweled Scarab and a Cold Light Oracle in your deck.
Right. Is that what you've been climbing with?
No. That's what I've been falling with.
Yeah, with everyone just playing Dragon Warrior, it's going to be a bit tough, huh?
So things happened.
Definitely. We might... You could either like just get rid of this board and put down the Doomsayer, so it just like saves him a little bit of life.
Yeah.
Sets up the ice block.
Yes.
Oh, and speak of the devil, it's the Curator. But wait, does he want to kill this Doomsayer? Is he really just going to... Okay, well, he has room to execute.
And again, there's not really many execute targets in this deck, so you can afford to use them pretty liberally in the early game. Well, I guess it's not early game anymore, but you can afford to use them pretty liberally on Doomsayers to try and protect your board. He doesn't even have to use Blood to Ichor here as well to proc the execute, so this is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. Draw more cards. Save the Ichor for the Grom.
The menagerie is for guests only.
Eason nods his head like, yep. He had it.
Expected. I mean, most Dragon Warriors run this card now.
Yeah, Chalky gave me a quote at the tournament that I cast with him playing last week, and he said, if you don't have the Curator in your Dragon Warrior deck, you're dumb. It's a verbatim, exact quote.
I like the trade here with the Thalnos. You don't want to leave the spell damage up.
It's a lot of gas Eason's picking up, though.
Yeah, but still no Alexstrasza.
I hope you like my invention.
Yeah, he's got the burn, though. There's Acolyte of Pain.
At this point, he just has to stall before his opponent pops his block.
Yeah.
Grom Ichor is a possibility here, but it's not going to pop the block just yet. Or is he going to save it? Still no Dragon's Energy.
He hasn't tested for Ice Barrier yet, so he doesn't actually know if it's Ice Barrier or Ice Block. I feel like Grom plus Blood Decker is good if you know that it's Ice Block, because then it puts them down to 4, and you can just hero power down there. You never have to check for Ice Barrier after that, or you never have to attack into an Ice Barrier after that. But since he doesn't know that if it's Ice Barrier, all of a sudden, if he Grom Blood Deckers into an Ice Barrier, then he's effectively only dealing 2 damage, and he's a lot more vulnerable if Eason did have a way to sort of clear the board over the course of a couple turns. So, oh sorry, 5. He's going to put him at 5. You know, he's rewarded for this play because last turn, right, he attacked into the Doomsayer with his 1/1 and traded into the Blood Mage, so he never tested whether or not to see if it was Ice Barrier.
Right.
So a little bit of a risky play, but I think it's at this point he sort of needs to.
Eason can actually now stall for another turn before the ice block gets popped.
Yeah. But he also needs to make sure that he's also attempting to set up for a lethal opportunity.
Yeah, and he doesn't have Alexstrasza yet, or another ice block.
So unless he draws another ice block here, he has to start thinking, I will need to kill my opponent without ice block.
Right.
So I have to start like putting more Roaring Torches in my deck by just like using Forgotten Torch at face. And it looks like he's just going to try and buy as much time as possible and not use the burn spells yet. But this block isn't going to last very long, and that's going to be a block pop.
Yep. So yeah, Eason looks like he's in trouble right now. So actually, is there any way he can come back from this? I don't think so.
No. There's not.
Yeah.
No Doomsayers left, so he's pretty much never going to clear this board unless he does, like, right now, he Flame Strikes and trades in his whole board and pings or Frostbolts or something, and then he dies. So.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that saves him for one extra turn is drawing into your ice block. But I mean, since Johnson has the Hunter hero power, it's just... he's doomed.
A lot of burn. A lot of burn.
Yeah. Just unfortunately, he didn't get the right cards.
Yeah. So Johnson's going to take game one, Dragon Warrior versus Freeze Mage, and I don't know, decent win for him.
Right. So what do you think they're gonna be playing next match?
Don't know. I think I honestly am in the court of the best strategy in Conquest is just a random. Just because like you never want to have a pattern because then your opponent can mathematically determine what's the best deck to queue against you if you have a pattern.
Right.
So and you have to win with all three decks anyway. So
yeah,
if you random, you have the best chance of winning because you don't have a pattern that's able to be recognized. I know there's some people out there that talk about the pick order a lot, but I hate talking about Conquest pick order.
Some people spend a really long time thinking about it too, though.
So I don't know.
So what is Eason's rogue?
It's really weird. So he runs double Mana Addict. Which Mana Addict is a card that probably most people haven't seen in a long time. It's the 2 mana 1/3 that every time you cast a spell on a turn, it gains 2 mana for that turn.
Only that turn.
2 attack for that turn. Yeah. So it's sort of like questing adventure,
right?
Except you're not banking on your questing adventures attacking in multiple turns. You're basically using them to sort of OTK. You're getting all the value out of them in a single turn. So you can seal your Mana Addicts and then basically go off in a single turn because it's actually more beneficial to do that than it would be to get a questing adventure that would only live for 1 turn anyway. Because a questing adventure only gains 1 attack per card, whereas a Mana Addict would gain 2 attack per card, given that it's a spell. So it was running old school Miracle Rogues back in the day. I remember Wreckful was when he used to be like an actual competitive player. You know, no shots fired at Wreckful. He doesn't spend enough time on it anymore.
I heard he missed lethal.
I'm sure everybody's missed lethal at some point.
It's just they give him like so much. They gave him a hard time because it was on like stream.
Yeah.
It's the worst place to actually miss lethal.
Yeah. But he was one of the first to sort of play around with a Mana Addict Miracle style rogue. And so it's really cool to see that someone's trying to bring it back. Now that Questing Adventure Rogue is back, which was a thing back in the day.
It was back in the day also?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times players will play Mana Addict and Questing Adventure because they didn't have tools at their disposal like they do nowadays. The Rogues lists aren't as tight. They didn't have a Tomb Pillager. They didn't have Shadow Strike. So they'd run like really weird lists to try and make up for the fact. Back then, Garrison Auctioneer was also 5 mana, so it was even stronger, it felt like. But it is a really weird rogue. We're not going to see it this time, though. It's going to be Mage versus Mage. Very different list, though. Freeze Mage for Eason and Tempo Mage for Johnson.
Right. How do these mages differ, though? Do you know any specific cards?
Well, you're talking about Johnson's from a normal Tempo Mage?
Oh, sorry. I thought you... I got confused for a second. I thought you said Tempo Mage versus Tempo Mage, but yes, we know Eason has the Freeze Mage.
Well, Johnson's list does differ from normal Tempo Mages. He runs Babbling Book as well as double Babbling Book and double Kabbalist Tome.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very
greedy.
Yeah, it's sort of a greedier, more control-heavy list. He also has a little bit more top end. I think he runs Rag, and one Fire Lance Portal, one Flame Strike.
Hey, Rag's great against Freeze Mage.
Yeah, I think Tempo Mage is great against Freeze Mage, period. As long as you have the right mindset going in. If you hold on to your Flame Waker for a really long time and go off on one single turn, Tempo Mage has more damage from hand than almost any other archetype or deck. So usually damage from hand is what beats Freeze Mage.
Yeah, and like Freeze Mage don't really put out a lot of minions, so all that damage is mainly going face.
Yep.
So what do you think of the total damage is in a Tempo Mage? Did you ever count it all up?
It's a lot.
Like 30 and above?
Oh, it's well above 30. I mean, if every single one of your damage spells that can go face goes face.
Right.
I mean, 6 from Arcane Missiles, 6 from Frostbolt. Forgotten Torch is 18. So right there, that's already 30. Fireballs, double Fireball, that makes it 42.
That's a lot of. And then the Fire Lance Portal.
Fire Lance Portal, if you run 2, then that's 52.
Yeah. Then he's got the Rag to top it off, and Yogg, of course, and whatever Tome gives him.
Yep. So 52, if all spells go face in a standard Tempo Mage list, would be exactly how much spells they have that could go face. I mean, yeah, you could take out Arcane Missiles if you want just spells that can just specifically target face, but that's only taking away 6. That's still 46. So
a lot of damage. So yeah, he's going to put out the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And actually, next turn he could even draw for more cards or just play the Flame Waker.
yeah, I like drawing better in this matchup. Playing Flame Waker is just asking to get Frostbolted pinged, and one of the best cards that you can have in this matchup. Even if you have 2, I think holding on to it is better. Because he's not going to really develop anything on 4. He might develop a secret.
That's true. Like, I do notice that the Tempo Mages sometimes just hold on to their goodies sometimes and just like play them when they know they can deal a lot of damage.
Like Johnson might feel like, well, I have 2 Flame Wakers. Might as well drop one now because it's going to be hard. But I think the might as well scenario is much better with Arcane Intellect, because then it gives you much more options to work with in the future. I think Coin should most likely be held onto for Rag, since Rag is also win condition. And
yeah, so he's going to do just that and see what he picks up. That's a lot of spells.
Arcane Missiles in this matchup is effectively 1 mana for 5 damage, because there's never any minions on the board, so Flame Waker Arcane Missiles just deals 5.
It's just a slow start, just both of them drawing.
Yeah.
So now, actually, he could coin out the Azure Drake. Would you do that, or?
Nah,
Yeah.
I'd probably save Coin for Rag. I think maybe this turn just Flame Waker Arcane Missiles. Just deal the 5 while you can.
Yeah, that's another option.
And then next turn, if he doesn't deal with Flame Waker, you just can Azure Drake, or you probably can't Cabals to him because you won't have enough cards. And that's one thing that he has to note, is that he's got to really keep track of his card count, because he's got a lot of cards that just can't be used in this matchup. Yogg, usually you don't want to use Yogg.
Yeah, I do like the. Oh, so
Oh,
gonna
wow.
go with the coin Azure Drake. And if he went with that other line of play with the Flame Waker and Arcane Missiles, and then save the coin, like the coin would have been used later with the Flame Waker.
Yeah. Trying to think through his next play, I guess.
Yeah, gotta like take advantage of all that time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like the rope time is not long enough.
Yeah,
Right?
but I feel like a lot of players overthink
Really, yeah.
when they start taking a little bit too long. Or they feel like in a tournament setting, they rope because they feel like they should. But,
I rope all the time.
but for players that play a lot of Hearthstone, sometimes you just got to trust yourself. You have to trust your instincts. Like, there's a reason why your brain's telling you to do something. And you have to go through all your options, but
Yeah, when you start overthinking, I think that's when you usually mess up.
yeah.
Observe and reflect.
Babbling Book, Flame Waker, Arcane Missiles.
Yeah,
Just get the
Drake's
damage in.
definitely going face.
Ooh, Counterspell. That could be really good.
Yeah, that could stop a blizzard, a frost nova. Any sort. I mean, the freeze mage has a ton of good spells that are all like really important. So just stopping any one of them would be great. So yeah, do you think this is a turn for Flamewaker and Arcane Missiles now?
It's got to be.
Or he's thinking about putting up the counterspell with the Arcane Missiles. Oh, okay.
This is so slow. I don't know.
It's going to be a long game.
I don't know. You don't want to give tempo, or you don't want to give Freeze Mage time. Like, yeah, Johnson's probably thinking, oh, I got all the time in the world. Look at my hand. Such a good hand. Look at all these cool spells that I have. But Freeze Mage, if you give them enough time, they'll just kill you.
I guess Johnson doesn't know that Eason doesn't have a Doomsayer. I guess he's just. But I mean, he has 2 Flamewakers, you know. So even if he did have a Frost Nova Doomsayer, he could just like put out another one and just burst out with all the spells.
Or just fireball it.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it would kill it. Like the 2 plays that you're thinking about him making on turn 6 would be Double Secret, Arcane Intellect Secret, or Blizzard. And Blizzard doesn't deal with the board because the spell damage and the Flamewaker missiles are the important things in this matchup. Also, going into 6, you don't want him to play Emperor Thor's hand, so you want to try and make as big a board as possible to make it so that he has to play off of what he'd like his curve to be.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I feel like that ping was very slow.
And this is great for Eason because he wanted to play the Thorson on turn 6, and like this is not really a threatening board. The one Drake and the babbling book. So now, and Johnson can't just like Flamewaker and Fireball here.
No, I think what Johnson was trying to do is just hold on to both Flamewakers to try and go Flamewaker into a big spell chain. But that doesn't come really late in the game, and by the time, and now he sees a.
He actually could have played a Mana Worm, and no, I guess
He
just wants a ping. Yeah,
wanted to get a ping instead. I don't know.
So much damage in the hand. We're waiting to see it. We're waiting to see the fireworks.
Yeah. I mean, he could have invested into damage at this point. Like, even though pinging in the face is a point of damage now, Mana Worm could be, you know, multiple points of damage over the course of the game as opposed to that. So, and it also could force Eason to play differently if he knew that.
Now there's no more. Now that he doesn't have a fireball to take out this Doomsayer.
There's no reliable way to do it.
Yeah, it just seems like, oh, he can't even tome. It's just too much spells in his hand. He has to. Does he really have to? Okay, he's gonna set up a counterspell.
He's in a counterspell, but if I guess it's the only play that he has. But if Eason Alex draws it on 6 and then made a Doomsayer play on 7, he's probably using Alex draws on 8. So
right.
He's not going to cast any spells anyway. But I mean, I guess if there's Doomsayer on the board that you're not confident that you can deal with, this is the only real play. And now if he Arcane Intellects, he's got a full hand, so unless he plays Mana Worm and just gives it up.
Yeah, he probably has to play. Oh no, yeah.
So it looks like if he plays Mana Worm, he's going to Arcane Intellect.
I think it's just a very awkward. I think he put himself in a very awkward turn.
I would have been okay with discarding mirror images to hold on to a Mana Worm. I don't know.
Right. And now Johnson is on a clock.
Let's see. Can he survive next turn? Because Eason... Wow, that was actually really bold by Eason.
Wait, does Eason have a ice block up? I can't see if his mage has a secret up or not.
I think he does.
It's the ice block.
He wouldn't play... I don't think he would play Alexstrasza like that into a secret that he didn't know without ice block up. Right? Because if it was Mirror Entity, he'd effectively be at 12. I mean, I guess if it was Mirror Entity, he could Ice Lance it. But then he'd give up like potential lethal for the following turn. Because he'd be at 12, so that would mean that fireball. I guess it wouldn't kill him because he's already used a fireball.
And
Well,
does this rag actually need to definitely
has to
take
hit,
out?
yeah.
Oh, ouch.
All right.
Doesn't do it. And I feel like the Eason's just actually sitting very comfortable now.
Well,
Alex Straza is there still on the board. There's no taunt stopping it.
he just wins.
Yeah, and this counter spell's not going to do that much. Oh, that's a big spell to block, but he's got a lot of burst, actually, so he's fine.
Plenty of damage, and Eason taking the win. I feel like Johnson might have played that one a little bit too slow.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming from, but you gotta, when you're playing Temple Mage against Freeze Mage, you gotta play fast and furious.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, the more time you give the Freeze Mage, the more chance they have to win.
Yeah, I think if he had, you know, I liked the Arcane Elect over Flamemaker on 3, but you want to get those Flameworkers out relatively early. You just want to cash in on them right away.
Right.
Like, Arcane Missiles didn't do anything. I'm pretty sure he still had Arcane Missiles in his hand at the end of the game. That could have been 5 damage, could have forced Eason to play a little bit differently. If he had been able to coin out the Rag on 7, would have been a little bit differently. Even just not playing the Mana Worm, even though it would have been punished by Kona Cold, just forcing your opponent to have the answers to deal with that is what Temple Mage always does and what it should do. And played a little bit slow, and I guess he gets punished.
Didn't really feel like a Temple Mage in the end. And he just ended up having a ton of cards in his hand.
He drew more cards than Eason that game, I felt like.
Than the Freeze Mage.
Yeah.
Aw. Well, there's still a chance, and we are at 1-1 right now, so it can go anyway, actually.
Yeah, and the remaining decks for Eason are the Dragon Reno Warlock, as well as the Mana Addict Miracle Rogue. Johnson has a Malagos Druid and the Temple Mage that we just saw, because we saw him take a win with the Dragon Warrior earlier on against the Freeze Mage. So still, Eason's got some bizarre decks, and this is what I talked about earlier in the intro. Southeast Asian players are very eager to take risks in their deck building, and they have very eccentric decks a lot of the times, because they sort of take inspiration from a lot of different regions, as opposed to other regions like the Americas and Europe, which tend to take inspiration from very specific players. So all the decks become homogenized, and all the decks look very similar to each other.
I feel like they try to make something that's their own also, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Like Pimping with his Shaman. You don't really have players like that in Americas or Europe. The closest thing to it is like Zetalot in Europe, but he's not really, I mean, he's more of a streamer than a competitive player. He doesn't really actively seek to participate in like preliminaries and championship events, whereas Pimping does, and Pimping does it and then brings Totem Shaman and Beast Druid to a major. So you don't have players like that in a lot of the other regions that are so loyal to deck lists and are so crazy with their deck building antics. So I'm not surprised to see Eason do this.
It's definitely exciting. It makes the game more fun and interesting. Seeing new different things. And I mean, sometimes it actually works. We see that the Cycle Cthulhu, someone said it was actually an Asian player that made that, which Kalento eventually played on stream.
And Doomsayer.
Game number 3. We got the Rogue, Eason's Rogue, versus the Tempo Mage.
Doomsayer in Rogue.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. A lot of times, rogues just don't have turn 2 plays unless they're coining out an SI7 agent to kill a 2-drop. If they're on the coin, their turn 2 play is almost always dagger up. Oh
yeah, that's true.
And so, in a lot of situations, you'd rather have Doomsayer because dagger's not going to be that impactful. It's interesting. Sometimes I prefer dagger up, but I understand why Eason chose to go with Doomsayer.
Yeah, I think it would really work well against aggro decks. Stopping Zoo and like aggro Shaman.
If you just dagger up against a Totem Golem, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you Doomsayer against a Totem Golem, you're in good shape.
So Johnson with a great start, and I think from Eason we are going to see that Doomsayer soon.
We'll get killed though.
Yeah, he can actually kill it with the Arcane Blast.
We'll see if he wants to take the risk of going Flame Wake or Arcane Blast. Because then one of the missiles has to hit the Doomsayer. He loses his whole board. It's Flame Waker roulette.
I think Johnson's hand's really good against Eason's right now.
No turn to Doomsayer. That's so weird. I feel like that's the very specific reason why it's put in the deck.
I think I would have played it and just hoped for the best.
And Wild Pyromancer. What is this?
Yeah, it's very strange.
Oh, he's going to conceal the Doomsayer. Oh my goodness. That's
that is
why he held on
nuts.
to it. But that feels like it's such a, not a waste of conceal, but it feels like it's such a weird use of conceal when the deck's win condition is to conceal a mana addict.
But this this stops the Tempo Mage from doing anything this turn. So
I mean, except for pushing a bunch of damage. And now he doesn't have conceal, so if he makes something big, then it's more likely to be able to be dealt with by Johnson. I mean, he does have the second conceal, so it's just a weird conclusion. It's a cute play. I like it.
but will that 17 life be enough against a Tempo Mage? I mean, like we said earlier, Tempo Mages have a ton of burst.
Oh, yeah.
I think he has to put down like a huge Van Cleave soon.
Yeah,
We
and
s-
I don't see a good one this turn.
Yeah, not.
He can coin, prep, Wild Pyro, Edwin Conceal.
I think he's gonna do it.
Yeah. It's
'Cause
good,
I mean-
it's good sequencing for the what he wanted to do.
Right. And we've seen the.
Wait, what? He concealed first? Because he didn't want to damage his Van Cleave? Or he wanted to be bigger?
Bigger. Because we've seen one mirror image already, so he's not worried about another one. It's actually really crazy. How is this Tempo Mage? How's Johnson gonna deal with this?
He's not going to.
He's gonna have to he's gonna have to take 10 damage to the face. I think he has to just put out everything that he can right now. Mana Worm, Sorcerer's Apprentice, kill this Pyro before it kills his board.
It's not going to happen. That's sort of ingenious. The Doomsayer conceal play.
It's actually nuts.
I was running it through my head. I would be like, why would he not run? Why would he not Doomsayer on 2 when, that's why he puts in the deck? But I guess the reason why he puts in the deck is because it's got a lot of uses with conceal. It's almost a guaranteed board clear. It's sort of like Frost Nova Doomsayer, except you're taking all the damage from the board on the backswing. But I mean, if you have enough,
Check this out.
yeah, it's a full clear.
Actually, he can play Mana Addict.
I
Right?
think just clearing the board and hitting for 10 is going to be better.
This guy's
I don't think
Ah,
Mana
yes,
Addict
yes,
is like
this
the
is-
win condition.
you're
This,
right, you're
I
right.
think just
Gotta-
hitting for 10 3 times
I'm
is going to
getting
be the win.
excited, sorry. He's just gotta kill this Mana Worm with his face, with his dagger. Oh, this is crazy. So, he can't deal with this Van Cleave. Let's just it's what I said earlier. He needs to make this Van Cleave, and he did do it on that turn,
Yeah.
actually.
Turn 6, ping, pass.
What a crazy match, this Rogue.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be game.
This is gonna be a highlight.
Yeah. I mean, that was actually just really sick.
Right, I know, the Doomsayer Conceal. Oh wow, who would have? I didn't see it coming. You didn't see it coming.
I should have seen it coming.
You've been casting a really
I
long
should
time.
have seen
I
it
guess
coming.
nobody's done it.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody conceal a Doomsayer, or at least
Right?
not in a long time. Then again, I've never seen someone run Mana Addicts in a long time.
So going back to that conversation we had earlier about Asians making strange decks.
Yeah, it's very true. So I don't know what his game plan here is, but Grim Patron is not really going to help him out, and that's going to be
Yeah.
concede from Johnson, and Eason takes a 2-1 lead
Oh, that
off
was
the back of
nuts.
some really good rogue play, but I guess that's more deck building than it is play, because he's probably made that play hundreds of times
Yeah.
in practice for this deck. But, I mean, that also goes to show just the strength of Van Cleef when you have preps and the coin, like being able to put out a 10-10 on turn 5 without really using too many resources is actually absurd.
I feel like the Edwin Van Cleef is also really great against Dragon Warrior. When they put out that big Edwin and you don't even have execute, it's just done.
And execute's not a card that they keep.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, control warriors are a lot more likely to have that, but people always talk about, well, execute's the best hard removal in the game, but it's the only hard removal that tempo warriors and dragon warriors actually have, so they kind of rely on it in those situations. But Eason's last deck is the Dragon Reno Nazoth Warlock.
And I think we are going to see some cool stuff there too, especially after seeing that rogue, like, concealed Doomsayer. I wonder what else he has up his sleeve. So the last deck, the last two decks again for Johnson is still the Tempo Mage and the Mali Druid.
Yeah, Malagos Druid should perform pretty well against Reno locks because they can, a lot of times they can buy enough time to where they can OTK. But Reno locks, if they have a good curve, like if they just have 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, 5-drop, 6-drop, 7-drop, then they could just beat just about any deck except for like a perfectly curved Aggro Shaman or Dragon Warrior. So I don't know. Reno lock just struggles because of its inconsistency.
I've had a few matches with a Token Druid against, it was not Mali Druid, but a Token Druid against Reno lock, and I feel like it's kind of tough. Like, I found it kind of hard because they do have like a lot of clears to deal with your tokens, and then there's like Twisting Nether. But I'm not sure entirely what this Dragon Reno would be like. So
yeah, the Violet Teacher is sort of just like a secondary effect. A lot of times you just throw out your Violet Teacher just to say, here, like, deal with this. But then they have Malagos as a win condition. They have Arcane Giants as a win condition as well. But we're not going to see it yet. Or no, well, we're not going to see the Malagos Druid from Johnson yet. But Eason does have this deck as his only remaining one. He really likes Doomsayer. I'm pretty sure all of his decks have Doomsayer. All 4 of them, including his Fatigue Warrior, have Doomsayer.
MVP Doomsayer. And Johnson back with his Tempo Mage. He's got to get that win.
He's 0-2 with the Tempo Mage right now. Not good.
It could be the deck that fails him.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We got Eason. Eason here has a lot of removal in his hand.
Yeah. So
I don't think you wanna. Do you wanna double Arcane Missiles here?
Eason is very confused, and this play is going to get heavily punished by Doomsayer. Johnson will have to draw exactly a damage spell.
Yeah, 2 Kabbalist Tomes is not really what you want to have in your hand as a Tempo Mage.
I mean, maybe Eason feels a little bit uncomfortable here because of the fact that Johnson went all in with the Mana Worm. He's probably thinking, well, he's got a lot of burn, so he might even just coin Shadow Bolt to deal with this. He's so confused.
I mean, we can clearly see the answers, right? We know that Doomsayer is great here, but yeah, it's just, Eason's just, what is going on?
He's thinking, what would drive a man to double Arcane Missiles with a Mana Worm on board on turn 2?
Right. And you can never guess that he has 2 tomes in his hand after that. Yeah. But you know what? He's going to stick to his game plan.
Great job, Eason.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess Johnson was thinking, you know what? I don't really have anything. I want this Mana Worm to do the most damage it can.
Yeah. This is how Johnson should have played the Freeze Mage game.
Right.
Because the decks sort of work in a similar way. If you give them time, they're just going to beat you.
Well, maybe when he watches the VOD and he's going to be listening to what you have to say. And
maybe. Or maybe he'll disagree with me because he made that play for a reason. But just like some inconsistencies in his play, especially the not playing Sir Finley on turn 1, but then playing it on turn 4 when he had an extra mana.
Oh, look, Babbling Book gave him a Pyroblast.
I feel like that card's like 50% chance to give you a random mage card, 50% chance to give you Pyroblast.
Right? I've heard someone say that to me. That's why I was like, I had to mention it. I think it was Maru.
Oh, yeah. Me and Mario, we think alike.
Oh. I don't know. I just love the dragon synergy. I feel like dragon can work just in about any deck. Because Blackwing Corruptor, Blackwing Technician. When Blackrock is out of the.
Let's rotate it out.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of sad.
Yeah, Flamewaker's going as well.
Emperor Thorson.
Emperor
There's probably
Thorson.
gonna be no freeze mage anymore.
Yeah. It's
Right.
it's a possibility. I mean, they might get some more tools, but I don't know. Freeze Mage is a lot of people don't like Freeze Mage. I don't really like Freeze Mage either.
Kibler.
Kibler hates Freeze
I
Mage.
know. Why? I mean,
It's very non-interactive.
yes, I agree with that. But I mean, it's just it's a different deck, and I'm all about like different stuff. But yeah, it's just I guess some people find it boring because you don't actually physically like put stuff out
Yeah.
in your deck.
I mean, you know exactly what Freeze Mage is going to do. Your opponent knows exactly what you're going to do. And sometimes they literally cannot do anything to stop it. And, you know, that's a deck archetype that a lot of people just don't like. I mean, Eason's getting pretty low. I mean, he has to tap here because he knows that he has to find Reno. Because if
Yeah.
Johnson played the double arcane missiles on 2, his game plan is to be aggressive. So I'm pretty sure Johnson is just going to try and kill as early as he can. And, I mean, this Flamewaker, bow shots to face, it's probably where he actually wants them to go.
Wow, that's nice. And he's got the mirror image to top it off. You know what? If he was close to turn 10, Johnson would be feeling pretty good with the Pyroblast.
I mean, he might just kill him next turn with a Fireball. Bookworm value, though.
Saved for now.
All right. This is just when you Fireball pink face. And if he doesn't have Reno, you win the game.
Yeah, I like the Firelands portal here.
Oh, Firelands Portal's better, yeah, because you get the minion pressure as well.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Johnson just casually looks to the side. He's like,
Oh my gosh.
anybody see how good I am?
I think this is going to be it.
Well, that's huge because now he can't even tap.
Yeah,
to-
he can't
Well, he wouldn't have been able
tap.
to tap for Reno anyway, but he could have tapped for,
Ouch.
like Cult Apothecary to try and bring him out of range of anything, and that's just it. He's gonna play Bog Creeper here to just try and taunt up and hope that Johnson literally has 0 points of burn.
Yeah, but you can see he's already shaking his head, and he knows that. Come on. He hasn't seen a fireball yet.
Well, we ask what would drive a man to play Arcane Missiles on turn 2 with no burn in hand. But Johnson just had a lot of faith in those Cabala's Tome, and that faith paid off, and that means we're going to a game number 5.
I know. This is actually my second time to go into game number 5. I had one with Mara, and now with you.
I had a 3-0 early in the day with Neilio versus Pimpinho. And Neilio told me, I went down and talked to him a little bit after his match, and some of like the Mana Surge guys. And Neilio has actually never lost a match that I've casted. I've casted like 8 of his matches.
You're his good luck charm.
That's what he says.
Oh my gosh. Did you tell him you drafted him too?
No, I didn't tell him. I don't want to jinx any superstitions that he has, because he said if they told him that they were going to stream his match and I wasn't casting, he'd refuse. So
That's
I,
really
I
funny.
hope nobody tries to force him to be on stream without me casting.
Aww.
But yeah, last match is going to be Johnson's Malagos Druid versus Eason's Reno Dragon.
Right. And we
Warlock.
haven't seen that Mally Druid yet.
No, I'm pretty sure it's Malagos Druid. The bottom of the deck list for each of the players wouldn't load all the way. I saw like Moonfires.
Okay, if it's got
Don't think
Moonfires.
you would play no Malagos with Moonfires, but you never know.
Right, and Frozen did make the Mally Druid really big. Winning all those
Yeah.
matches with it.
Yeah, Frozen and Zixo. Zixo sort of made the non-Violet Teacher version popular, and Frozen sort of made the Violet Teacher version popular. I actually prefer the non-Teacher version.
What does it replace it with?
Well, it runs a Gadgeting Auctioneer. It runs an extra 3 mana spell and an extra Mire Keeper. So a lot of times the Violet Teacher version runs like a single copy of Feral Rage and no Mulch, whereas the non-Violet Teacher version runs 2 Feral Rages or 1 Feral Rage, 1 Mulch, and it runs double Mire Keeper instead of 1 Mire Keeper and a Gadgeting Auctioneer.
Yeah, I remember Frozen's list had only 1 Mire Keeper.
Yeah. So with no Violet Teacher, you need to have more consistent ramp. So you want Mire Keeper more often, because on 4, instead of just playing a Violet Teacher, you want to ramp to get to the Gadgeting Auctioneer turn much quicker. So, all right, well, that's a pretty good opening hand for Johnson in a slow matchup.
Yeah, I like the. I mean, it's how is Eason even going to deal with the Fandral? What card does a?
Shadow Bolt Mortal Coil
Yeah,
is the only way.
it's gonna be tough for Eason then.
Well, I don't know if Johnson's going to keep Fandral. If this is Malagos, you want to ramp and draw early.
Get those innervates.
Yeah, but I feel like against Reno Lock, Fandral's just too good of a keep. I might have even three kept there. Because what are you hoping to draw into in this matchup? Like, you're hoping to draw into ramp, but with Fandral being played on turn 3, Wrath actually becomes really good because all of a sudden you answer the threat that they're going to try and play to contest the Fandral, and you also draw a card. So, I don't know. Might like to see a 3 keep there, but gets a Feral Rage instead.
You said, and we know that this is a sort of dragon Reno, but we have some interesting cards here. We have look, N'Zoth. We have a N'Zoth Acidic Swamp Ooze, and the I guess the Panda Brewmaster is just for the Reno.
For Reno, also N'Zoth in longer control matchups.
Oh right. So we could possibly we see the Fandral here, or he could just. Would you? I don't know if you Feral Rage this. It's not a good target to Feral Rage.
There's not that many great targets to Feral Rage, though.
Mm.
I think what Johnson was hoping was that he didn't have a 2-drop that he was going to tap onto. And that's why he kept the Fandral in the first place. So this might make him change his plan because all of a sudden there are so many cards that answer this now. You know, just Shadow Bolt, Demon Wrath. Oh, there's more than that. I'm missing cards. Even like Dark Peddler into Abusive Sergeant or Dark Peddler into like anything. But I guess there's about 3 or 4 cards that counter it, so he's just hoping that he doesn't have the second one.
Yeah.
And Eason might be forced to attack in Demon Wrath here, even though it's really inefficient. Leaving Fandral up for a full turn is too risky.
I agree. He has to get rid of it with the Demon Wrath. And now Johnson's kind of stuck here with a bunch of spells, no minions. Well, so he's going to have to make a minion with the Power of the Wild.
There's
So
that Moonfire.
Yeah,
Making an appearance.
it's kind of a slow turn. Not really the best turn for Johnson there. Coin? Or okay. Contests against the Panther. It's just more spells. Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh.
that hand's pretty rough.
Yeah, he's actually thinking about swiping face and he just hero powering down this Panda.
Yeah, I like that. It applies pressure. Your hand's really not telling you anything else. If you draw Malagos, you're in a pretty good spot because you have a bunch of damage from hand.
I guess he didn't play the Imp Gang boss because of the swipe.
It's possible. Maybe he just felt like he needed to hold another coin to get a 6-drop out this turn. Like being able to coin out Emperor Thorsan is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of Eason's minions come out pretty soon. But Johnson has a lot of spells to deal with this Emperor Thorsan, and he's probably most likely gonna play the Yogg when the time comes.
This is a Yogg game.
He could swipe and Moonfire and Hero Power, and then just innervate the Yogg next turn.
Yeah, he could try and go all in with spells.
All right.
He could also just Feral Rage Hero Power down.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, we're just like hearing a bunch of random sounds.
I hope everybody else is hearing that too.
Yeah.
All right, well, he decides to take a middle ground here with the Feral Rage. He could still innervate out Yogg next turn, and he could like Moonfire innervate Yogg if he really wanted to go for it. But I think Johnson doesn't want to play the Yogg yet because it could punish him pretty heavily. It's not like enough spells from Yogg to where it would be super impactful. a Yogg in that situation would effectively just be to draw cards.
Yeah. You know what's really good against Yogg? Sylvanas.
Yes. Of course, if you don't know the interaction, people at home, if Yogg, any Yogg spells kills the Sylvanas in real time, your opponent will steal the Yogg, and the rest of the spells will be cast for him.
I know. It's been it happened to me. It feels so bad.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter because there are some spells that are like side neutral. Like
Doom.
any targetable spell, Doom, Twisting Nether. Like whether or not Lightning Bolt is cast from your Yogg or his Yogg is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, that's true. Could hit your face, my face.
Yeah. Yogg spell damage also benefits from Malagos. There are not many minions that Yogg's spells will trigger. Like Yogg spells, for instance, don't trigger Flamewaker missiles. All right.
I'm gonna see the Maui.
Look at Eason's face. He's like, oh, well then.
Is this really happening right now?
That's a Malagos. And he didn't get the attack off. I don't think the attack was right there anyway. I mean, I think Eason's plan here is just to play Sylvanas.
Yeah, I think he knows that, okay, he's played Malagus because Yogg is coming up. Possible Yogg.
Always like possible 9 damage swipes.
Right.
Possible 7 damage living roots. Possible 10 damage starfires if he gets it from Raven Idol.
It's actually kind of scary because
I have no time
yeah.
for games.
Oh, yeah. The Sylvanas is like the only thing he could do.
Yeah.
He doesn't even want to tap anymore.
So if Johnson draws any damage spells, nope, that's not it. But I think you got to go for it. Just swipe base and then hit base.
Swipe and Arcane Giant.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Force him to have both.
Oh no, but this means this means the Sylvanas is gonna steal the Mali. Doesn't it? Because it can trade into the Mali.
Oh yeah, that's right. The collateral damage would kill off the Malagos.
It's like he's like, I don't really want to swipe.
Eason's like, what? I mean, I think that's correct because his plan is to just play Yogg next turn. So he's hoping that Yogg is just going to kill the Malagos. Work in the game. I mean, he's going to be at 7. So he has to, 8, sorry. He's going to kill off the 1. I don't know if that can, what does killing off the 1/1 accomplish? Who knows?
He can't Hellfire, that's for sure.
Oh, that is for,
Oh.
that is for very sure.
It's just a weird thing that's going on right now. Like, does he even want to tap? He wants Reno, but it's like, are you gonna get it? Probably not.
I mean, I think this is going to be his last tap. I think he can tap this turn because he can reasonably play around everything but like a crazy Yogg. So this, I'm pretty sure this like has to be a tap because he's got to get close to that Reno. Because there's no spells that are going to kill him from 6. He'd have to have like a combination of spells to kill him from 6. So he can play around every like single card from 6. And I think this might be the last turn that he's going to be able to fit in a tap. And he finds Azure Drake, which is great because it's just more cycle to try and get through minions. We'll see what he picks up. Twilight Guardian. It's not a Reno, and this has got to be a Yogg.
So exciting.
That's. I think he ended the game because his cards are green. Eason can't even look.
Oh no.
Yeah, I still think he just ended the game though.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh.
There's the swipe.
Oh.
Got him.
Wow. That. Oh my gosh. That
Johnson
was
was
so intense.
pumped.
Oh
Man.
my gosh. I can't even deal right now.
If you ever win a 5.